I will start.
Namaste and greetings. I, Avi Sharma, researcher at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, Prabhav Evam Niti Anusandhan Sansthan, Nai Delhi, extend my warmest welcome to you all to IMPRI Web Policy Learning. Today, we are gathered here for day one of UPLGYF, Urban Policy and Local Governance Youth Fellowship, an online autumn and winter school program, a 4-month online immersive introductory leadership certificate training fellowship program organized by IMPRI Center for Habitat, Urban and Regional Studies, CHURS, IMPRI Impact and Policy Research Institute, New Delhi. This distinctive 4-month online immersive introductory leadership certificate training fellowship program is crafted to equip the youth with foundational skills and knowledge in urban policy and local governance. By merging theoretical underpinnings with practical insights, the fellowship aims to create a new generation of informed, capable, and visionary leaders in the domain of urban governance and policy making. Through interactive sessions and case studies, fellows gain a nuanced understanding of the complexities surrounding urban policy decisions and local governance mechanisms. The UPLGYF endeavors to instill critical thinking, leadership, and strategic planning skills among the participants. By the end of the fellowship, individuals are expected to emerge as empowered leaders equipped with the tools and perspectives needed to contribute effectively to urban policy development and governance, thereby driving positive change in the communities and beyond. The chair for the program is Professor Manjula Bharathy ji, Professor Center for Urban Policy and Governance, School of Habitat Studies, and Professor, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. Visiting Professor, IMPRI, New Delhi. Our expert panel for the program includes Dr. Thomas Isaac G, former Finance Minister of Kerala and Central Committee member of the Communist Party of India. Dr. SM Vijayanand Ji, ex-IAS, Chairperson Governing Board of Pradhan, Professional Assistance for Development Action. Professor Malini Krishnankutty Ji, Adjunct Associate Professor, Center for Urban Science and Engineering, IIT Mumbai. Professor N C Narayanan Ji, Professor Ashnak Desai Center for Policy Studies, India Institute of Technology, Bombay. Professor K. N. Harilal Ji, Professor Center for Development Studies, Kerala, India. Mr. Sameer Unhale Ji, Joint Commissioner, Department of Municipal Administration, Government of Maharashtra, Urban Practitioner, Visiting Senior Fellow, IMPRI. Professor Amitabh Bhide Ji, Professor and Dean, School of Habitat Studies, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, Visiting Professor, IMPRI. Professor Tara Nair Ji, Director, Research and Knowledge at the Center of Migration and Labour Solutions, Ajbika Bureau. Dr. Praveen Kumar Ji, Assistant Professor, Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, School of Habitat Studies, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. Dr. Ravikant Joshi Ji, Advisor, Urban Management Center, Ahmedabad, and former Chief Accounts Officer, Vadodara Municipal Corporation, visiting Senior Fellow, IMPRI. Dr. Ratula Kunduji, Assistant Professor, Center for Urban Policy and Governance, School of Habitat Studies, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. Ms. Isha Kunduriji, PhD candidate, Department of Geography, Environment and Society, Fellow Interdisciplinary Center for the Study of Global Change, University of Minnesota. Dr. Deepak Sananji, former IAS officer and ex-additional chief secretary, Himachal Pradesh, senior visiting fellow, Center for Policy Research, senior advisor, Indian Institute of Human Settlements, and visiting senior fellow, IMPRI. Mr. Sandeep Chachraji, Executive Director, Action Aid Association India, and ex-co-chair, World Urban Campaign, UN Habitat Advisor, IMPRI. Mr. Tikendra Singh Panwarji, Senior Fellow, IMPRI, former Deputy Mayor, Shimla. The conveners for this course are Dr. Soumyadeep Chattopadhyay Ji, Associate Professor, Viswa Bharati Santiniketan, visiting Senior Fellow, IMPRI. Mr. Tikendra Singh Pawar Ji, Senior Fellow, IMPRI, former Deputy Mayor, Shimla. Mr. Sameer Unhale Ji, Joint Commissioner, Department of Municipal Administration, Government of Maharashtra, Urban Practitioner, Visiting Senior Fellow, IMPRI. Mr. Aravind Unniji, Urban Practitioner, Researcher and Development Professional, New Delhi, Visiting Senior Fellow, IMPRI. Dr. Simi Mehta ji, CEO and Editorial, IMPRI. Dr. Arjun Kumar ji, Director, IMPRI. Welcome everyone to this insightful discussion, and I appreciate your dedication in investing your time and energy and commitment to gain a profound understanding of the crucial role of urban policy and development and local governance. We have also shared the course outline and the reading resource documents in your email for your kind perusal. We will be providing videos of each session for flexible learning at your place. Before we start today's session, I would like to announce the housekeeping rules. It is imperative that you join the meeting on time. There will be a Q&A session after each presentation. Share your questions in the Q&A box and not in the chat box. The questions must not be posted as an anonymous attendee. Ensure that your questions are precise. Refrain from making general comments in the questions to save time. To begin with today's session 1, I would like to invite Professor Manjula Bharathy ji to give her opening remarks.
Thank you, Avi. Thank you, IMPRI. I hope I am audible and visible.
Yes, ma'am.
So welcome all of you for this wonderful, interesting fellowship program that we are planning on urban policy governance and urban policy and local governance. And I'm sure and hope and give you assurance that this will be a very engaging 3-month session where you will be getting theoretical as well as practical insights into the issue. So to begin with, why we are picking, this particular program and particular topic, because urban areas today are being transformed into very complex, fragmented, divided, and uneven spaces with multiple challenges around environmental sustainability, social justice, you know about it, equity, universal access to critical everyday urban infrastructure and services. So the urban development processes and trajectories producing these transformations that we see every day are, like I would like to reassure and say it again, that are multiple, varied, and contingent upon the political, economic, and governance context. So in this particular thing, we need to ask questions, and that to several questions on urban policy and local governance from multiple theoretical and empirical perspective. Like, what is a city? Who defines a city? Who has the rights to a city? Who images and imagines the city? Who are the principal players involved in these contested meanings? What are the mechanisms for changing the urban images of the global south? Who benefits from changes in the urban images and its representations? And what can urban designers and planners do it to make it more likely that benefits will be widely shared? What roles do or can or should urban designers, planners, practitioners play in the reimagining of urban local policy and governance in the process? For example, if you're looking at very importantly urban planning paradigms and institutions, we all know have undergone several twists and turns in the contemporary world. So we would like to ask the question, what is the scope and form of urban local planning that takes in India today? We all know about, the master plan, the mega projects, and also the whole questions that saying about the lived city and smart city plans. So how the smart city plans, the mega project plans, innovative plans associated with planning and policy tools encounter the governance system, everyday practices, their lived realities, which are violated, subverted, resisted, challenged, and incrementally modified. So we would like to have an understanding, both theoretical and a practical understanding about the shift and changes in this urban planning policies at the local governance level. And when you're looking at the urban local planning policies, housing, I feel, is one of the very important, crucial urban challenges in case of India. So it is, like you know very well, and or like me, all of you know that it is a wealth creating sector. But it is equally linked to social relations, politics, and rights. So it's a significant material basis for the so-called urbanism. So, critical understanding of the urban sector will enable the participants like you to understand paradoxes and complexities in policy practice. In turn, necessitates an insight into how urban housing is perceived and how the role of the state in relation to the housing evolved and reflected in the housing policies. Second one, like we all know, is urban mobility. Again, one of the sessions here is critical to understand the functioning of the cities and the metropolitan areas. Urban transport, land use, economic development, and environment, you all know that inextricably interdependent. So, urban transport and urban mobility policy and planning need to be evolved on the basis of the spatial, environmental, economic, social, and political considerations. And then it's to understand the questions on accessibility, safety, affordability, inclusivity, and sustainability. And then the whole things that of engendering, when you're saying about it, what is the role of gender in this urban policy and governance, especially at the local governance level? So, like the structural inequalities of class, caste, and gender exclude the majority of the people from the policies and processes of governance. So, the engendering governance is very important at the state level, at the district level, and also at the subnational level. We are also looking at the different levels of how it is important to understand the question of engendering governance, and also decentralization of the democratic forms of governance. So it is important to understand. So here we will try to look at the whole changes from the women integrated development to gender and development, and how it is important to look at these policies at the local governance, and how it is important gender is coming out as an important category of the question. The second one is the other question that we equally like to look at is the question of climate change is becoming an important question in the urban markers, how it is important to look at the adaptation mitigations policies of the climate change at the local governance level, and how it is important to localize the sustainable development goal using the vertex of climate change. And it is important to understand how climate change intersect and influence the governance policies at the local level and its practices. And then it's also important to look at the whole question about, how it is important to look at the question of urban transport that we say, and also the question of urban waste, which is very, very important. The collection, access, transport, disposal of waste, and environmental duration, which is very important. And the conventional framework of management of waste is again important, looking from a circular economy and circularity, while municipal institutions remain incapable of meeting the same. So this fellowship, we are also tries to give an insight into this incomplete transitions, the challenges and potentials and debates in the sector. So we have multiple sectors, varied questions. Some of them are wicked problems. Some of them are development questions, development challenges coming from the ruptures in the policies and practice. How can we engage critically into these questions? This 3-month long fellowship, I'm sure, will try to unpack the ways in which the spatial politics of Indian cities intersect with the socio-economic political systems, local organizations, and multifaceted agencies at various dimensions. The fellowship will emphasize a hands-on learning approach, offering participants the opportunity to engage with key issues affecting urban environments, from infrastructure development to social equity and environmental sustainability. I am sure that this program will give you in-depth, detailed, theoretical underpinnings of the urban policy and local governance. Are also equally importantly how it manifests at the practical level, at the grassroots level, at the ground level, where you will be equipped to speak theory with the practice and how to critically engage with that. So welcome to this very interesting 3-month long fellowship program. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I thank Professor Manjula ji for walking us through the introduction of this program. I would also like to take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Sara Bhartanji. Dr. Bardhan is Assistant Professor of Sociology at Somaiya Vidya Vihar University, Mumbai, and the coordinator for this fellowship. We now move on to the participants' introduction. The participants are requested to kindly introduce
Avi, Professor Thomas Isaac has already joined.
So we can start with it.
Yeah.
Sure, sir. I'll do this. I am delighted to invite Dr. Thomas Isaac G, former Finance Minister of Kerala and Central Committee member of the Communist Party of India, for his inaugural session on governance and democratic decentralization. A very warm welcome, and over to you, sir.
I would also like to introduce him as the former professor of the Center for Development Studies, JNU, and he was my guide for my MPhil and PhD. Professor Thomas Isaac, I would like to welcome you to this program. Thank you so much to inaugurate the session. It is our honor. Professor Isaac, can you hear us? Yeah. Professor Isaac, can you hear us? Hello? Hello, Professor Isaac, can you hear us? Thank you. And welcome to the program and this inaugural session. I've given my inaugural remarks. And welcome to the program, Professor Thomas Isaac.
Manju, have you invited me?
Yeah. Am I audible? Yeah.
Fine.
Your
Fine.
introduction's already been made.
Fine.
Yeah.
Dear friends and colleagues, now I'm sorry I'm late. It's a occupational hazard. You know, I'm not only an academic, but also a political activist. And many a times I'm not master of my time. That's the reason. Anyway, let us get into the topic. I shall try to conclude within 45 minutes. That would leave us some time for questions if you have any. Now, what is the significance of this course? The significance lies in the fact the importance of urban areas in the urban sector is rising, increasing every day. There's an acceleration of the urbanization process in India. Since the beginning of 20th century, only 11% of India were urban. Half a century later, the ratio rose to 17.3%, something like 6.4 percentage points in half a century. The next half a century, by 2001, the proportion of population in urban areas had increased to 27.8, an increase by 10.5 percentage points. Now, say by the end of the next half a century, definitely would have crossed 40 percentage points. Not 40%, probably at 50%. A very rapid increase. Therefore, you can find in the last 2 centuries or 1.5 centuries, the population living in urban areas have been accelerating over time. Now, the urban areas have significant from 3 points of view. One is from the perspective of growth. Now, these are drivers. The cities are the drivers of the modern growth process. It was so in the even earlier period, but all the more so now. In a globalized world, the global cities attract capital from all around. They are homogeneous urban conditions so that the capital can seamlessly flow from one country, one region to another, to the global cities. And therefore, it's very important that we develop the urban infrastructure and facilities so that we take advantage of the potential for growth. Put it very simply, it involves something like investing 1.6% of a GDP in urban infrastructure in the coming 50 years, while now our investment is only about 0.6%. We have to step up the investment. So this is from the perspective of growth, urban areas become very important. Second, from the perspective of welfare. Now, with more and more people living in the urban areas, their welfare assumes importance. And because most of them are migrants into the cities, there are specific problems of impoverization that take place. The urban inequality would be much wider than the rural areas, and therefore raises definite challenges regarding housing, sanitation, water, social security, aging, and so on. So there are challenges of welfare. Unless you address them, we will not be able to increase the welfare of the people. Third is the sustainability. The urban areas produce tremendous amount of waste and also pollution, which is a major issue in the era of climate change. And there are also, most of the cities are near the coast and very vulnerable to, say, sea erosion and rise of the sea levels. And therefore, we have to also view this process of urbanization from the perspective of sustainability. Okay, to address the urban issues from the perspective of growth, welfare, and sustainability, we would require efficient governance systems. Now, the best outcome would depend upon the efficiency of governance. Now, this is something very much accepted right from the colonial times. Right from the colonial times, the British themselves took initiative to have municipalities, cantonment boards, and so on, because they understood the cities where they were populated and staying for the health reasons and other reasons required local governance systems. And the municipal governance system was much more effective. In fact, rural areas, there was no governance system otherwise. So even the British understood this. and the post-independence period, the urban governance structures, the municipalities and corporations have now been brought into the constitution itself. We accept the significant role that good governance has on the urban areas in promoting growth, welfare, and sustainability. And declaration of that was the passage of 74th Constitutional Amendment. But even before we started on the path of Constitutional Amendment, internationally it was accepted that a good governance, urban governance system is very, very vital for improvement in the quality of life and growth in the urban areas. The best known case is the participatory budgeting program of Brazil, Porto Alegre. Workers' Party came to power in the municipal election 1987, and they thought by involving the people in the governance system, participation of the people, it will facilitate better choice, 2, better implementation, and 3, and therefore better outcomes. And therefore they undertook a program which has become very, very famous, like participatory budget. I shall not go into the details of this project. The governance system they designed and successfully implemented. But in a nutshell, brief, it involves creation of a number of participatory forums, number of participatory structures. There were 4 in number. One was civil society organization, neighborhood groups, etc., at the lowest level, which were encouraged to participate in the second tier, the general assemblies. There were 16 general assemblies. Whole municipality was divided into 16 assemblies, and all people could participate in that. And also 6 thematic assemblies. It is open to everybody in that region to come and participate. They generally express their felt needs, let me put it that way, what they would require and so on, which was prioritized by delegates elected by these assemblies who met in a delegates forum. And these delegates elected further representatives of participatory budgeting council, which finally made the investment plan. Now, it was not just a sequential procedure of informal meetings to general assemblies, delegates in fora, and then to final council for budgeting. No, it's an iterative process, interactive, up and down. But finally, the result was through this participation, you produced a budget in, say, investment budget. Let me put it that way. The investment budget in new projects, which reflected the priorities of the people, which people owned it up on their own, and therefore also monitored it, how it is being implemented. And this process resulted in a fantastic outcome. Let me give you some of the important achievements in the first from 1986 to 1996. In this period, you had, say, 1987, only 49% of the population had safe drinking water and sewage. By 1996, the coverage was 98% for drinking water and 90% for sewerage. Educational budget increased from 13% of the municipal outlay to 40%, and a tremendous improvement in the quality of education, number of schools. The neighborhood roads increased by 5 times. Infant mortality rate came down, and importantly, tax revenues increased. Their municipality was giving better service, therefore they could raise the taxes. In 1996, while the rest of Brazilian municipalities, the own revenue of the municipality was average only 35%. In the town of the city of Porto Alegre, own revenue contributed to 60%. So exemplary performance. And it got noticed. One, Marquez Party made it the program for the rest of Brazil, and other progressive governments, Latin America, instituted similar reforms in other countries. By 2010, it has caught on to Europe also. Primary agency for spread of participatory budgeting to Europe and so on was the aid agencies and World Bank and so on, because UN Habitat Conference in Istanbul in 1996 recognized the participatory budgeting as a best practice, and therefore it was propagated. And by the end of 2010s, 2000s, total number of cities that were following the practice of participatory budgeting in one way or other close to 11,000. Okay. So here is a best example in the world, very well documented. So many studies and books have come about it, which demonstrates that good governance can have better results, better outcomes. And then, as I told you, in India, okay, we also recognized having a passage of 73-74 constitutional amendment, which brought about a radical reform in the local governance structure, a uniform system throughout India, where elections would have to be held every 5th year, where devolution of funds were assured through the agency of a finance commission, and so on and so forth. The functions were defined. Now, but in India, this law is only enabling provision. Okay, basic structure or local governance is there. But what do you make of it? That would depend upon what the state government and local governments decide. And the best intervention in this respect came in Kerala. People's Planning Campaign, which was launched in 1996. Now, to restate go ahead, leapfrog my narrative by 2 decades. Now, what is the outcome of the initiative Kerala did? Today, as per Urban Governance Index, Kerala score is 59, the highest in the country. Okay. So what did Kerala do? What Kerala did was something very similar to participatory budgeting. So I never knew about what was happening in Brazil. We just a homegrown idea how to go about. There is a very interesting book of mine. If you are interested, you could read that. People's Planning. Book in. Let me ask for some water. Hello. Yanada. same. Okay. What is good governance? Let me start with that way. One necessary condition is that the 3 F's. There must be clarity of functions of the local government. 2, it should have the funds, necessary funds. 3rd, the functions. Kerala local governments are fortunate in this respect. And I don't think, unlike rural local governments, urban local governments all over India, much better place. But good governance does not come from that. It's only necessary condition. The sufficient condition is participation of the people in deciding upon how funds are to be utilized, in choice which functions have to be taken up, and willingness of the bureaucracy to work with the people. So participation is the necessary condition, sufficient condition, I would say. So what was the design of Kerala People's Planning Campaign? The first step is needs identification. This was done through WhatsApps, where people came and stated their felt needs. And second was prioritizing it. The representatives from the WhatsApps met at the municipal level in a development seminar where they prioritized it. Third step is projectizing it. Each proposal is put into a project. Why projectize it in a formal document? That is important for transparency. And therefore projectize it through the help of working groups of volunteers who are willing to work. And finally, these projects are put into a plan document by the municipal council. So this is the design. So what were the specific features of Kerala participatory governance system? Now there were ward sabhas as per the legislation in Kerala, but we encourage residents association, flat associations, clubs and libraries to get involved in the ward sabhas. Another organization which facilitated participation of the people are women SHGs, women self-help groups. We have a network of women self-help groups which accommodates around 65% of the households in Kerala. And therefore, this is also a very, very important participatory forum. You have also accredited volunteers who are willing to work on a voluntary basis. There are also accredited voluntary experts who can be members of planning groups and monitoring groups. There are social audit teams. Then there are institution-based popular committees, a parent-teacher association of the schools, a hospital development committee for hospitals, and so on, and training and empowerment. What I'm trying to say is, how much participation you will be inviting or exciting would depend upon the design of your governance systems. People's aptitudes are different, capacities that are different. Therefore, everybody will be wanting to be involved in something, single program. Their interests are different. Therefore, we should design as many fora of participation as possible. I just gave you a dozen almost WhatsApps, residents association, flat association, clubs, libraries, women SNGs, accredited volunteers, technical volunteer technical pro, social audit team, institution-based popular committees, and so on and so forth. So you create as many forums as possible so that while decision is being made by the elected representative, people are encouraged to participate in any of these forums. And therefore, in this manner, you move beyond representation. Democracy in our country can have only be representative democracy. But at the local level, the municipal governance level, it is possible to move beyond representation. And when you achieve that, then the Chinese wall between the civil society and states break down, and the synergies give you the best result. Now, this is what we attempt to do in Canada. Now, going through your coursework, I want to comment a little bit upon your coursework. I find many familiar colleagues who we all work together in Kerala now teaching this course. Let me start with poverty. One important outcome of Kerala must be that decentralization and governance has enabled Kerala to virtually eliminate poverty. Let me put it that way. The multidimensional poverty index, Kerala's poverty, is only less than 0.5%. Something like 60,000 households. Suppose we are able to pull them out of this poverty, then Kerala would be poverty-free. Please remember, a decade before the decentralization program started, Kerala had the highest level of poverty. Now, how were we able to overcome this poverty? How did good governance at the local level help? Now, the multi-dimensional poverty index, what does it mean? Poverty is not a single criteria-based assessment, say income. It's a multi-dimensional education, healthcare, housing, sewerage, cleanliness, and so on and so forth. Now, how to bring together all these anti-poverty programs on a common platform? How to integrate them into a common program? This can be done only at the local level. And that, I think, is very important for the success of Kerala. And I am very happy that SM Vijayanand would be speaking about people at the margins. In fact, right from the beginning of the 73rd, 74th Constitutional Amendment, we have been working together. Me for a period as the minister, him as the secretary, and independent of that also as activists. So SM Vijayanand, I am certain, would be able to give you very important insights how good governance in Kerala enabled to overcome poverty. Now, you have also a session on water and sanitation. And N C Narayanan from IIT Mumbai is lecturing on that. I tell you, I was representing that town for over 20 years. We worked together for making the town, the dirtiest in Kerala, into a relatively clean town. And a lot of innovative ways in which participation was ensured. He will tell you how we had best students from India to come for a summer school in this town, whereas part of the course they would do kind of assessment, surveys, project formulation, or sanitation. So many of the students stayed back and continued the work in LND. So, in fact, Kerala has just started the final lap in the total cleanliness program. It has been inaugurated yesterday, the Gandhi Jayanti day. It will be successfully, I'm certain, completed by March 31st, the final lap. So this would have been possible only through a better governance structure. But on the whole, urban areas been lagging behind. In fact, urban areas are the focus of the campaign now. Third is Manjula is organizer of the course, and she's going to speak on engendering governance. So I think you are the best person possible who can enlighten you on this topic. One, she has been an activist in Kerala. Two, her doctoral thesis under me was precisely on gender and decentralization and gender and marginalized sections, comparing while it was successful in the gender program, it was not so successful in the marginalized community program. From this, what I would say is that decentralization or democratic governance at local level does not guarantee the outcomes. Okay, you have a more democratic governance system at the local level. Therefore, there's no guarantee it's going to succeed. So, in fact, her thesis is about how it succeeded in one sector, did not so in another sector. And but the lesson I would draw is, well, it depends upon how you intervene. The democratization of the local space only provides you much higher democratic space for you to intervene. That's all. If there are activists, there are conscious citizens who are willing to intervene, then things would improve. And there is social security. This is the theme that you are going to discuss. In Kerala, we provide 62 lakh persons old age and other pensions every. It is quite substantial, 1,600 rupees per month. Now, this pension scheme is run through the local governments. Okay. So money is channelized to them, they identify the beneficiaries, they make the payment to beneficiaries. But regarding social security, the most important challenge now in Kerala is aging. Very soon, more than 20% of the population in Kerala will be elderly. See, making the demographic transition from high fertility, high mortality regime to low mortality, low fertility regime. So in between, there are this phase of one phase where fertility remains high while mortality falls, and therefore there is a population boom. The percentage of children in the population rises very rapidly. The big achievement of Kerala is that they have handled this transition phase very, very effectively. Best conditions of children in India are in Kerala, I will say, best schools, best healthcare, infant mortality rate, which is equivalent to, say, USA. But then there is a second phase where you find that, okay, mortality has come down in the first phase, but fertility rate also comes down. Therefore, life expectancy increases, and therefore, the proportion of people in the aging population increases, children declines. Now, this is the new challenge. the aged, bedridden particularly, that will be taken care of. Now, in the case of the first phase, the children, parents take care of them. But the second phase, because of changes, societal changes that take place, etc., the children may not take care of the parents. So in a society is aging, how do we address this? We can have institutional care for everybody and ask the best. Nor can you leave it to the house alone. Therefore, you will have to have the state and the community to support. It's a trilateral agreement between family, state, which includes the local government, and the community. This is the new experiment that is happening, and this could happen only under effective local governance systems. And digital platforms also a point of discussion. Now, the panchayats, everything has been digitalized online, but we have not made that transition. The urban areas, perhaps some discussion would come on that. I can go on like that on housing, climate change. We hope with another 5 lakh houses, everybody in Kerala will get houses. And because we have completed the demography or completing the demographic transition, if we now exhaust the existing stock of houseless people, we will have no problems to reach say, a stage where everybody has house. Climate change, well, how do you address climate change? You have to think globally but act locally. That's in short. Now, how do we act locally unless the local government is also involved? And it cannot be bureaucratically done, you see. So local governments in Kerala has prepared disaster management plans. In fact, Manjula, who has been your course director, she has a fantastic experience of building, say, waterlogged areas in the high tide region of Kerala. Local people preparing the plans. So I think even for climate action, it's very, very vital to have good governance system, transport, and so on and so forth. I don't want to go further up. Finally, we are also discussing politics of decentralization. Tikandar speaking, yeah, he was formerly deputy mayor of Shimla, and currently a member of Kerala's House Urban Policy Committee. Well, I think politics of decentralization involves two interventions, key interventions. One is empowerment for the elected representatives. Not only their capacity must increase, but they must also have new vision about democracy. They should be willing to accept that we need to go beyond elected representation, encourage, and don't see people as a threat, participation as a threat to his or her control and hegemony. So, empowerment of elected representatives. Second is development of a new, emergence of a new development culture, let me put that way. Political parties. All elected representatives elected on a political party basis. And therefore, there will be conflicts between the parties. But why there will be a conflict in, say, distribution of construction of a road, distribution of houses, for cleaning and the wall. These are needs of everybody. Therefore, buying in different political parties, still you should be able to collaborate and cooperate in local development. And that's the new culture. And development of civil society organization beyond the political parties would contribute in a big way to the development of this new culture. So, empowered elected representative and new development culture of the people that would ultimately create a good governance system and good outcome. And I'm certain that you all would be benefiting immensely from this online course. You are the best people available lecturing to you. So I congratulate the organizers and I formally inaugurate your program. Yeah, we still get 15 minutes. If anybody has questions, please do raise them. I can respond to that. No problem. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your insights with us. And now the floor is open for the Q&A. So I would like to call our participants for the same. So you can either use the Q&A box and put in your questions over there, or you can use the raise your hand feature, and then you can unmute yourselves and share your video for the same. Also, meanwhile,
you can just type on the chat box. I will respond to that. I've opened it.
Meanwhile, I would now like to invite Professor Manjula Bharathy Ma'am ji to kindly share her remarks on the session.
Hello. So it is very interesting, like as usual, to listen to Dr. Thomas Isaac, especially this area, decentralization and democratic decentralization, where he tries to speak on growth, welfare, and sustainability. And looking at this question from a governance at the local level and how it is important to have a democratic decentralizations, to have a critical thinking on these perspectives. And we are here looking at very interesting example that happened in the participatory budgeting in Brazil, and then took it to the experience, people planning experience in Kerala, where he himself was actually heading that experiences in Kerala, which now nationally, internationally acclaimed as one of the largest democratic decentralized experiences in the world, where 30 to 35% of the state plan fund is devolved down to the local governance institutions. And the question of devolution and not delegation was seen in the whole question, where the people themselves, like Dr. Thomas Isaac was saying, about being part of it. So it is changing a culture. It is changing our politics. It is changing the endeavor it is changing the understanding of participation. How important is that when you're changing the thread and net of this participation using the participatory forms of governance at the local level, how can you have people in that is what he was trying to explain very well with different examples, different ways in which the poverty level of Kerala, the housing issues of Kerala, water and sanitation issues of Kerala, is been able to address using the very strong engines of the participatory local governance. And there are a lot of articles during the COVID times, which we know that where the entire world was grappling with issues, then Kerala actually showed the way that how can we take these issues with the very strong local governance institutions in our hand, where there we can address these issues in a holistic manner, emotionally, economically, ecologically, with a human face. So that is something that Kerala has shown to the world, and that is because of the local governance institutions. So I would like really the respondents to take this golden opportunity to ask questions to one of the champions of the democratic decentralization, Professor Thomas Isaac himself.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your remarks on the session. Now, I would like to open the floor for questions. So, as we already have 2 questions, ma'am, could you moderate?
Yeah, we could see 2 hands there, Lilith and Adarsh. So can you please come out, Lilith, your questions?
Yeah, ma'am.
It's a question by Singta Bodai. What challenges might states in India with slower development rates in literacy and urbanization encounter when implementing participatory budgeting programs, considering the unique socio-economic infrastructure constraint? It's a very good question. Yeah, Kerala has certain advantages, circumstances. One is a literate society, so communication becomes very easy here. It won't be so in a backward state or region. Second, we carried out land reforms, and therefore there is no big landed estates. And as a result, the kind of conflict in planning that may arise between landlords and tenants or agriculture workers do not rise like that. Third, the outward influence of caste is very minimal when compared to other states. Therefore, we will have absolutely no problem to have ward sabha where all caste people come and talk. And so these are certain advantages. Therefore, these advantages may not be available in all states, but still, decentralization itself can be a process which address disadvantages in these respects. But one doesn't need to move from a comprehensive plan for the town or panchayat as Kerala did. You could start from a sectoral program. Okay, you find it is advantageous to do, say, participatory education or healthcare because of certain availability of human resources and so on, or the need for people, you could just concentrate and do it and slowly grow, expand. Or, so not in urban areas, but urban areas, there are other funds. In rural areas now, the biggest source of fund is one, employment guarantee program. You add to that the Union Finance Commission grant and some amount of money they can gather. That is a respectable amount of money to undertake a comprehensive agriculture planning, I tell you. I have no doubt about it. So you can give up the ideas regarding grand decentralization program as in Brazil or in Kerala, but you can have a minimal program drawing upon these available resources. Because there are guidelines which can be easily fitted into a participatory development program. So I think we can kickstart the decentralization in this process, in this way. Thank you.
Next question, Lilith.
Sir, thank you, ma'am, for this opportunity. Hello, sir. I'm Lalit. I have been a student for preparing for civil services since the past 2 years, and I am glad I found this opportunity to interact with you. And my question was that in context to local governance, Kerala is a unique case study wherein a number of subjects have been passed on to the local government authorities. But in a number of states in India, apart from the compulsory subjects, very limited range of subjects have been passed to the local government authorities. I wanted to understand how could community-led or civil society organizations play a role in catering to the development which is sustainable in nature and also caters to the problems of social inclusion. Because often in for development, we compromise on the nature or the environment around. And we do have cases being litigated across NGT or other local government governance related so NGOs who bring these issues up. But how could they be tackled in a much better way as they have been successfully dealt with before?
Okay. The civil society organizations can play, NGOs can play a very important role in the local governance system. Because local governance system, as I described, would require large number of volunteers, large number of voluntary experts, and they can be made available through the NGO system. But in Kerala, our experience has been, and in all India level also, there is an element of conflict that might rise. Because when I say you go beyond elected representation to direct participation, what effectively you are trying to do is to convert the local government at the cutting edge into an NGO. That's it. You don't want the local government to function like a typical government organization. You want people to participate in planning, in implementation, monitoring, everything. So it becomes more NGO-ish in the work. Okay, informal relationship. And therefore, some NGOs may feel that local governments are stepping into their area, a sense of rivalry can come up and so on. And just saying a potential difference that may come up. But in the experience of Kerala, the biggest support to the campaign came from an NGO, is People Science Movement in Kerala. They provided around, say, 70% of the volunteers at the state and district level. There were also other major NGOs who were very closely involved in particularly in training and empowerment. So NGOs can play a very, very important role. One, the local governments would have to accept their role, and two, NGOs will have to work with their local governments. Change has to come from both sides. Parvati has asked how is recent trend in young population migrating from the state affecting decentralized participatory governance? What would your suggestions be on how to secure this level of governance in the next 10 years? Now, Kerala young people all migrate out. And therefore, you don't have now enough students in colleges, young workers in the panchayats and so on, as we used to have in the past. That's a big challenge because it's young people who are motivated and so on, who don't care for, who are willing to accept a career risk and work as volunteers, etc. So it has adversely to an extent affected the effective decentralization. And therefore now a big program with the help of local governments to create quality jobs within the state itself. We call it converting Kerala into a knowledge economy. Creation of knowledge-intensive occupations which are highly productive, at the same time will appeal to the educated human power in Kerala. So, and local governments have a very important role in creating such an economy. So that's the campaign which is going on. Yeah.
Last
Also,
question.
interested to read, you can have another book of mine, the People's Planning and also Kerala, another postal world. Both are published by Leftward Press.
Last question by Adarsh, and along with what Professor Isaac was saying, I would also like to add one point, like, because the question Lilith was asking was one thing, like, despite the other NGOs and civil society organizations working in the states, why it's not a success in other states? It is very important also, like Professor Isaac was said in the beginning, it is also very decisive political will of the state government, which is very important because the decision to devolve 35 to 40% of the planned fund to the local bodies to act on that fund is a very important decision that has been taken. So the political will is very, very important, along with the existence of the civil society organizations that needs to synergize and to activate and operationalize this will is important. So the will is also equally important along with the existence. Yeah.
Yes, Manju. I am a politician, but I very carefully kept politics out. I just refer to Tikanda. What she said is, and Manju said is absolutely true. To take say participatory budgeting in Latin America, which made a big impact upon the rest of the world, it is a part of a political program. See, our Workers' Party in Brazil emerged from there. Of course, then went beyond. So in Kerala also, I mean, it's a part of a political program, political vision, just like 73rd, 75th Constitutional Amendment also was. But going beyond formal constitutional change into converting decentralization to a social mobilization program, a participatory development program, there you need a lot of political will. But I would say political will is the necessary condition. Sufficient condition lies, okay, some people in the bureaucracy were willing to cooperate and come along, like SM Vijayanand, you may be meeting, or experts who are willing to spend the time and expertise on the program, like N C Narayanan, Manju herself, you have going to be with you. And also I would say academics. We are very fortunate. And at that time in 1996, okay, the Center for Development Studies, where Manju was a student and I also was a teacher there, we were all engrossed in decentralization. It was a time when many bureaucrats like Vijayanand were very keen on implementing this program. And there were so many experts who were willing to spend their time on this. And also NGOs, like People's Science Movement. So the coming out together of all this is a sufficient condition, but necessary condition is there must be somebody with a political will and vision to implement it.
Thank you. One more question from Adarsh. Make your question very precise and concrete, Adarsh. Thank you.
And last question, I must go back to my meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody, hello, sir. So this is not exactly a question about decentralization, but more about the participation that you spoke of. This is something that I keep pondering over, so I hope it makes sense when I speak. But when you're talking about the participation, how Kerala has done so well, be it in terms of poverty, be it in terms of education, and we've seen that student organizations have played, along with other civil societies, student organizations have played such a major role. Now, my question is that if we see student organizations or other societies elsewhere, there is such vast intersectionality that in the process of keeping views or how the process goes, majority takes over. And there is a point where, there's a decisive force, like which voices to hear, because in that process of raising a voice, a lot of voices get minimized, they get muted. And it's just something that I keep pondering over, whether to reach where Kerala is or however well Kerala has done, how does that come into action? Due to the intersectionality, what I've noticed is that there's a very vast lack of a larger movement per se. Why? Because one particular aim could not be decided on. I'm speaking this from a very local perspective, from something that I've personally experienced. And so I just want to know how different views are taken in, just not so just that the majoritarian view is taken in, but also the views that are mostly submerged are also considered.
The people are very diverse and divergent. Their interests are different. So bringing them all together would create necessarily a lot of frictions also. The biggest friction is the sectarian political divisions. So how do we overcome that? That's where movement comes. Government doesn't work with movement. In movement, government is a bureaucratic structure with precedents, rules, and so on. But we converted administrative reform of decentralization into a people's movement. So movement has its own creativity. It creates a kind of environment in which a lot of frictions get cancelled out. People are enthusiastically moving forward. That's why we designed this program as a movement, something which government doesn't actually do. But it was also a big risk that government was taking, a political risk at that time. But the decision was made. What was the political risk? The starting of the program was 40% of the plant funds were going to be gained out. So we just told the people, you want to use that money, better make a plan. How to make a plan? Well, you have to get everybody around. You have to go through these procedures and so on. So they go through it, etc. But then finally plan is produced. Then only the ministers realize, how can you give 40% down? Too much money here. That is not done. Everybody speaks about devolution. But when it comes to the final point of actually doing it, then very backtrack. But now this movement has brought in everybody. Ruling party people, opposition party people, everybody has got a stake in local governments. Everybody is saying 40% down. Government cannot backtrack. They can backtrack only at a big political loss phase. And therefore, that's the strategy of the movement. You cross the bridge, then you break the bridge so that you can never go back. So that's how we overcame the intersectional conflicts. So thank you very well. Thank you very much. Wish you best.
Thank you, sir.
I'm taking
Thank you,
leave.
Professor Isaac. Thank you, Professor Isaac, for a very interesting section. Thank you so much.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your insights with us and answering our questions. It was a pleasure to be able to learn from you. We hope to see you in the further IMPRI events as well.
Samir, can you please unmute yours? Can you please mute yourself? Yeah. Yeah, please, Abhi, continue.
Thank you so much, sir. I would now like to invite Dr. Vaishali Singh to provide a comprehensive overview of the program.
Thank you, Avi. A very good evening to everyone. Yeah. Am I audible and visible?
Yes, ma'am, perfectly.
Thank you. Okay. So as part of the fellowship, there are a few components that I would like to take you across as part of the fellowship that will be undertaken during the 3 months course. This is a guidelines document and reading resources that will be shared with all the fellows, along with the video link of the session after each and every session. And the guideline documents is curated to walk you through the various components of research writing, the various style of research, how you're going to write, the various submission guidelines, and all references that is going to be required for you as part of the fellowship. We can move towards the next page. Right, so we have provided you with a brief section about the fellowship. You can go through that to read about the fellowship program, and we can move forward with it. Right. We have also provided a list of the experts that are the part of the fellowship, and you will be attending their sessions as well. Right. We have also included the program time structure for your reference. with the dates and also the title of the speaker's session as well. And we have also provided you various themes as well, based on which, if you look at the timelines, you're required to submit an abstract as well as part of the fellowship. Based on that, you'll be developing your research essay as well. So we have provided you guidelines on the fellowship creative projects as well, where you will be presenting your research in a creative manner as well. And at the end of the fellowship, we have created a slot for the PPT presentation by the fellows, for which we have provided you guidelines in this, which is going to be a 3 to 4 minutes PPT, where you will present your findings of the research in brief during that time. Also, we have provided you certain themes in this creative project section as well, which you can explore to write your, or to explore the research, that topic that you're going to delve into. We can move forward with it. Right, you can see we have provided you a list of sub-themes as well. And also fellows are requested, if they feel that they want to explore further more on any particular topic, we'll be asking you to submit your abstract with the title to us, and we will obviously provide you guidance of the expert and get you in touch with them for further exploring the research title. We can move ahead, please. Right, we have also provided you the abstract submission and deadline. You're supposed to submit a Word file of 250 to 300 words of your abstract, and the deadline is October 14, 2024. You're supposed to submit it at learning@impri@gmail.com. We expect you to provide a brief abstract, what topic you want to delve into, what is the problem area that you have addressed into that, and how you will undertake the research. We can go ahead. We have also provided you with the research essay timeline. We will obviously curate a WhatsApp group as well with all the fellows, and we'll update you timely over email as well for various abstract submission deadlines, for your creative projects PPT, for your research essay draft submission. And we have also created a timeline for research essay expert and editorial review, where the research essay that you're going to submit is going to go through a process of review from the experts. Based on their feedback, you will incorporate the changes and submit the revised research submission, for which we have also provided you a timeline of January 12, 2025. So the outcome of this is going to be in the form of an edited book with ISBN, where the chapters of the fellows will be published. Yes, we can move ahead, Shweta. Right, where the chapters of the fellows will be published, and we have provided you the research essay guidelines as well, where fellows can follow the style guide and look at the various components of research essay writing, how you're supposed to write. We have provided you all the details in this document itself. We can move ahead. Right, we have also provided you a referencing style, which is the APA style. Kindly adhere to it while you're writing the research essay. And we will also, once we'll receive your draft essay submission, it'll go through the expert review as well. And it'll be really helpful if you can adhere to it from the very starting. Otherwise, this will be pointed out during the expert review as well. You can move ahead. Right, the layout of research essay is also provided for your reference while making the submission. It should be of 3,000 to 4,000 words, and it should include the main body, which is going to be the introduction, which will clearly outline your purpose and aim of the research essay. And it should also highlight your investigation or study analysis, followed by review, findings, recommendation, and conclusion. So these are the main components of your research essay. So kindly go through these guidelines as well of the layout of the research essay, and we have provided you a full list of that. And kindly follow the research ethics as well. We would request fellows to kindly adhere to the plagiarism aspect as well. We expect you to adhere to the 10% plagiarism requirement, and kindly check that. And also we have provided you other list of research ethics to follow while you're writing to avoid any kind of plagiarism, And also if you're doing a field work study, for that as well, we have provided you a list of, and also we're going to help you out when you undertake your research. We can move ahead, please. Right. We have also provided you with a list of AI skill used for researchers if they want to undertake your literature or literature study or writing assistance. In order to look at the Grammarly check, plagiarism, we have provided you a list of all those AI skill used here itself. So fellows can explore this while they're writing the research essay and while they're undertaking the literature review as well. We can move ahead, please. Right. We can move ahead. Yes. So the post-submission guidelines of the research, we have provided you a list of where you can submit your research essay as well, apart from the IMPRI chapter submission. We have provided you a list where you can curate your research profiles at ResearchGate and Academia profile, and you can obviously upload your report in that form in there. You can also write a blog article for IMPRI Insights. If we can move ahead, please. And we have also provided you publication outside IMPRI, where you can submit your research essay to EPW, SAGE journals, or Impact and Policy Review journal, which is at IMPRI's journal itself. So kindly look at this section for further understanding where all you can explore or get your research essays published once you have got the final draft and got it reviewed. We can move ahead. Right. We have also provided you with the op-ed newspaper articles where all you can explore. So kindly go through this section as well. You can go. Right. We have provided a list of reading resources that our experts have shared with us, and you can explore it in the guidelines and reading resource document. Here, there's an exhaustive list of the reading material that will be helpful for the fellows to explore and read upon for their research essay. And we will keep updating it as and when we'll receive more from our experts. So we'll request you to kindly go through the guidelines document before submitting your abstract, and also look into it when you're going to write your research essay. If you have any doubt, you can reach out to us learning@impri@gmail.com, and when we'll be creating a WhatsApp group, you can obviously reach out to us there itself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us this comprehensive timeline about the course. Moving on forward, now we will move on to the participants' introduction. Participants are requested to kindly introduce their name, designation.
Can I just intervene? We
Sorry,
also have, sorry, Avi. We also have Miss Sarah Bardhan with us. Sarah, can you please switch on the video?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, she's assistant professor in Somaiya and also a former student at the Urban Policy and Governance at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. So she will be working along with me, like helping in your creative writing. So would like to introduce Sarah.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here because I think the urban is a very creative space, and that's something that we can all contribute something to. And I hope that this fellowship is generative for both of us, including the fellows and for me. And the research essay seems to be such a great opportunity for really for us to be creative, for us to be generative, for us to use our imagination. And like Professor Isaac was saying, make sure that we use case studies, and then we build policy that really matters, and we build better, fairer, and more just cities. So I'm very excited to be here, and I hope it's a great journey for both of us.
Thank you, Sarah. Over to you, Avi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saraji. Moving on forward with the participants' introduction. As I had already mentioned, participants are requested to kindly introduce their name, designation, organization, and what prompted them to join this course. You can use the raise hand feature on Zoom, or I can call out the names one by one, and we can proceed likewise. Kindly accept the request to join as a panelist, which will allow you to turn on your videos as well. I would start with calling out the names. Sonam Maskiji, could you please unmute?
Yes. Thank you. Sorry for the background noise. I'm audible.
Request you to provide with your video as well.
Yes. So, sorry for not turning on the video because I am traveling.
No.
So, my name is Sonam. I'm from Mumbai, suburban. I live in Mumbai informal settlements, and I have recently passed out from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Currently, I am working in Desapnai Sahyog Foundation as a management trainee in content and capacity building. So the reason why I joined this course is because I on first-hand experiences of issues like basic water and sanitation and how urban governance is related to our community. So wanted to do something and this course will help me to do something for our community. So that's why I have joined this course. Thank you.
Ma'am, I would also like you to tell us about the topic that you would work during the fellowship, that you would work on during the fellowship.
Means I am mostly thinking about basic rights and how it is related to SDG goals, Sustainable Development Goals. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to invite Deepak Shahji to unmute himself and introduce himself.
Can I intervene, Avi? Sorry. I'm extremely sorry.
Yes.
See, would like to know, Sonam, when you're saying about it, are you looking at SDG 6? And that is water and sanitation. Are you looking at that from an SDG perspective? Are you looking at sanitation?
Yes, specifically sanitation, water also, but yeah.
Yeah, from an SDG perspective. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, as I already called Deepak Shahji, if you could, thank you, sir. Please also mention your topic for the fellowship that you would like to work on.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am, for inviting and for accepting the request of joining the program. And first of all, it was a really great session today. And my name is Professor Deepak Shah, and I'm currently working in MIT Institute of Art and Technology at Pune. And so basically, I'm teaching here design thinking. I'm basically from architecture and planning background. And so more the motivation that I have related to joining this specific course, that is why I'm working on a topic that is urban planning and governance for resilient planning. So initially I've started working on urban floods and disaster resilient planning for like lower Himalayan terrains and regions and cities related to it. So that is what I'm currently working on. I'm focusing on how we can actually work on governance and the policies, what are the loops on it, and how we can actually optimize the way of planning for the specific areas. So that is what I am actually seeking. So as I'm basically from a lower Himalayan region, so I'm also focusing on how we can actually work on the development policies and planning policy. We can actually minimize and maximize the problems are related to it. So that is how I'm actually doing it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Moving on.
I would like to intervene because I need to have a clarity. Because when you're saying about governance, I would like to know, Deepak, the whole question okay, they're asking me to put the video on. Yeah, the whole question is that the governance is not a monolithic thing, right? It has a multifaceted dimensions. So you need to understand it from an economic dimension, social dimension, political dimension, cultural dimension. So also when you're saying about it, it is also important for you to bring it because each will be having its different theoretical underpinnings, also its practical manifestations. And for this particular thing, you won't be able to have an integrated understanding of everything. So when you're looking at that, the policy planning perspective, where and the governance, what form of governance that you would like to, if you have more detailed understanding and a clarity in the next stage, that would be good.
Yes, ma'am. So actually, I'm trying to explore it. So I'm trying to explore it in which way I should be focusing. So you just mentioned number of the option that we can actually focus on. Either it is economical, or it is a social, or it is a It is in context to the infrastructural planning. So I just want to explore into the world of it. So how governance and which specific aspect we can actually put into, so that we can have a really good neighborhood and planning related to the urban areas. That is what I'm seeking
Neighborhood
right now.
planning. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on forward, we have Khushbu Singh ji. Please unmute yourself and also tell us about the topic that you would like to work on.
Hello, my name is Khushbu, and I'm currently working as a research assistant with Isha Kundri from University of Minnesota. And also, I want to join this program as it is on urban policy and governance. And as I am working on resettlement colonies and different dimensions of it, like how this what is the condition of women in recent resettlement colonies. So I think this program will help me with this. So yes.
Yeah. Khushbu, when you're looking at, like next time when you're coming, it's a very interesting topic. But when you're bringing gender as an important point of analysis, intersectionality is an important framework in understanding it. So whether, like, are you having a intersectionality framework? Are you looking from a social vulnerability framework? Are you looking from a migration framework? So which is the thing, like that you are trying to bring in, that also needs to have a clarity so that we can have a more nuanced understanding of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moving on forward with Lalit Kumawatji, I would now request you to unmute yourself and also tell us about the topic that you would like to choose for the fellowship.
Yeah, hi. So I haven't, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Lalit Kumawat, and I'm working as a strategy head at Generic Engineering. And we have a joint venture with our venture partners who are into sustainable and net zero construction. So I am looking to explore as to how we could integrate renewable technologies and foreign technologies into the urban landscape, and specifically in context to sanitation and wastewater management, because that seems to be like a burning issue in the context of the city I'm presently basically from, that is Mumbai. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I would like to be a part of this fellowship program to understand the caveats of urban governance, local governance, and the implication and context to how the technologies can be integrated by the authorities.
Yeah. So, Lalit, like one of the questions that when you're saying that you would like to look it from an architectural perspective, especially from the construction perspective, and then green building policy is a very important policy
Yeah,
that is coming into the picture
yes,
to
yes,
understand the urban local governance. So, it is important to see that what is the green building policies, and green building policies also has to look it from the supply-driven perspective and also demand-driven perspective.
demand-driven perspective.
Yeah. So that what is it that you would like to understand in this, in this way, because we also have to operationally define the way in which you try to understand the things, because grid in building is a very new, nascent, at the same time a very vast area. So we need to have streamlining, and so you need to go very, very clearly and operationally define
Okay.
the variables, the dependent variables, to understand the way in which you will be able to contextually placing yourself to understand. Very important, because circular economy is also coming into the picture there, and how this,
Yes,
very interesting things are coming up, and you can bring that. Okay, so please be
yes,
little
ma'am.
specific in you. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Thank you. Moving on forward with Adarsh Tiwari ji, please unmute yourself and also let us know about the topic of the fellowship that you would like to work on.
Good evening, everybody. I am Adarsh Tiwari. I completed my graduation from Ambedkar University, Delhi, and I worked as a fellow at Teach for India for a year, and I just completed the fellowship in June. Now I'm looking forward to doing my postgraduate in sociology, which shall start next year. So what prompted me to join this course, this fellowship, was basically my experience at Teach for India, working at the grassroots level and understanding that there are a lot of things which we don't realize, the intensity of things that we don't realize at the grassroots level. We see them as textbook notes. But when you live those things, we see a lot of red taping, we see a lot of barriers and restrictions that come into play when you look at the underserved communities. And that became very real to me, and that made me realize that the change, if there is any, would really be effective if it comes from policy perspective. And hence I decided to join this course. The topic that I would like to work on, which I'm still handing over, but would be related to gender and intersectionality, mostly with a focus on queer gender people and their importance, their role, and their vulnerability in the urban spaces.
That's very interesting positionality. So the moment, like this whole question about pure understanding into that, this whole question of subjectivity is a very important discourse there. Because and how this whole question of subjectivity, which is actually intersection of ontology and epistemology, and how this, like the understanding of the pure philosophy is coming, and what is the way in which it's transversed, and then what are the way in which it is transiting, and then to understand that in a plane like a Bombay or the place, I don't know where you would like to place it, in a city, and then looking from a Lefebvrean perspective of right to cities, and then what is the right to cities, like, and then the whole things in which, so we can have very interesting ways in which you can see, because I'm happy that you have very specific topic to engage with, so we can discuss more on that. Good.
Ma'am, can I quickly add to what you said right now?
Yeah.
I think even though you've taken such a specific topic, there's so much we can do with that as well. Because when we talk about genderqueer people, non-binary people, gender diverse people, and urban spaces, like ma'am said, you can use so many different lenses to look at their context. So, for example, you can even look at sustainability and what gender diversity means. You can look at urban finance and what gender diversity means in that context. So, I think when we work through the program, you'll also have clarity as to what specifically you want to work about and what you want to work on. And I think that will result in a really interesting project. So I'd like for you to keep that in mind when you go through the fellowship.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. Avi, please. Thank you. Next.
Thank you. Now we move forward with Anu Arora ji. Kindly unmute yourself and also provide us with the video. Should we move on forward with?
Sure.
So now I would like to invite Snigdha Upadhyay ji to kindly unmute yourself and also switch on the camera and tell us about the topic that you would like to go on with the fellowship. Ma'am, you're not audible to us.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am. Clearly.
Hello. So my name is Snigdha Upadhyay and I am a recent graduate in Bachelor's of Architecture. And through the years, I've started gaining interest in urban development and planning and everything. So I just wanted to get a deeper knowledge into what all of these things are. And as a planner, as an architectural designer, I just wanted to know what happened on the other side of the table. So I thought joining this fellowship would be a great way to go ahead. I am still a bit blurry about what topic I will be choosing, but I think it would be leaning towards communication system, maybe within, which is existing or which could be happening between the urban local bodies, the government systems, and the local people. So something around that I want to go around.
Yeah. Since you're saying about the communication systems, Communication systems can be multiple, like it could be intrapersonal, interpersonal, group communication, mass communication, and now social media coming into the picture. How the mediated readings of the cities is very important, and how cities is imaged and imagined through the images is very important, So the mediated images plays a very important role in representing the cities as well as the discourses, So you have to come out with, because everything is communicating. So because the communications are very, very heterogeneous things that you have to. So you have to come out, like, are you looking at the social media things, or are you coming out, like what specific forms of communication? Are you looking at this kind of communication level that is happening between different layers of the stakeholders in this communication process, like political society, civil society, how they're communicating with each other very specifically on the dimensional aspect? So something on that, but the mediated images plays a very important role in representing the city and the city spaces, and the city's images and imageries are very important in representations. So that will be very interesting to look at the political economy of that. It's very good. Yeah. But when you're reading, please look more into it and come with some concrete ideas. Yeah.
Ma'am, I had a question. Can I be very city specific, very state government specific in this topic?
Yeah, but that you're taking an institution, we can discuss it later, but you're taking an institution, but institutions are not communicating, So there are multiple channels around which the state institution communicating. And what are the forms of communications? What are the channels of communications? What is the receiver code? Who are the sources? So when you're looking communication itself, it is an SMCR, source, message, channel, receiver, and feedback, right? This is the communication process. So you are taking it as a state, as an institution. So which one that you are giving a privileges in understanding, it's equally important to understand this process. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Moving on forward with Juhi Katrekar ji. Could you please, just a second, ma'am, we have.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're perfectly
okay. Yeah, hi, I'm Zui. So I am an architect from Sir JJ College of Architecture, and I've done my master's in urban design from SPA Delhi. And I worked for a year on urban design and master planning projects of India. And for the past 6 years, I have been working on landscape master planning urbanism projects of UK. So the reason why I wanted to do this is that I have been studying a little bit about the policy of UK, and how it shapes the urban environment of that country. And I wanted to get an idea, a better idea, and more exposure to India and its policy. I kind of wanted to do a little bit of research on a comparison of policy framework for natural and built environment between India and UK. So that is something that interested me, and that's why I've joined the course.
Yeah, Jui. So like that the purpose of this course is basically trying to look at the participatory governance at the local level, where the question is not on a meta narrative, but is question on a local narrative. So the moment you're trying to bring this, like unit of scale at the Indian and the UK, then you are taking a meta narrative, because there is nothing like an Indian planning, because the planning, when you're looking at the local governance, you'll be having a regional planning and the contextual planning, which is basically based on the socioeconomic context in which it is positioned. So it is important that, like when you're looking at local planning, the decentralized planning is one of the areas where we would be like trying to look at it, not as a meta narrative, as a planning, because right from the mega project planning that India has been positioned, from the top-down planning to the bottom-up planning, when you're coming out with a neighborhood planning and the other systems of planning, where you have a smart city planning, for example, and how this, like that smart city planning is compelling it or propelling it, like, and what are the ways in which, what are the drivers and what are the actors in that, at that. And if you can take that as a comparative analysis of a participatory level planning between India and UK, would be good than having a meta narrative in India and UK. That is completely different. That is not the course of context of the
I
study.
need to zoom in.
You have to narrow in.
Yeah, fine. Okay. I'll think about
scale,
it.
Downscale.
Downscale.
Not at a meta narrative, but at a micro narrative. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Moving on forward with Parvati CVG. Could you please unmute yourself and switch on your camera?
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, perfectly.
Hello everyone. I'm Parvati. I'm currently in Kochi, which is my hometown, and I'm a recent urban infrastructure planning graduate from CEPT University. So I decided to join this course as a process of taking up my postgraduate, like my research, where I did on urban flood risk management assessment. So I ended up at the juncture of where the acts come into place in how in climate comes into governance. So I am basically looking at exploring a research on that, taking off from there, or either looking at how PPP, the public-private participation comes into place in terms of climate and governance, like how it can be enabled. I am a little confused with this, but looking at how it can be made more concrete. That's about myself. Thank you.
Yeah, see, like that very interesting topic, but the whole question that, like your question is also a little meta-narrative perspective, because the course when we are trying to look at is a local governance where the social vulnerability and the climate change is very important. That is a context-specific understanding where we are bringing not from a mitigation perspective, but from an adaptation perspective, and the whole question of community resilience, community building, social capital, social resistance, and looking at the vulnerability metrics from the whole question of stress relief, adaptive capacity, coping capacity, and then threat, and then the vulnerability, understanding the vulnerability from that perspective. And that will be local governance perspective, and how the governance at the local level is looking at the 6% things. Are you looking from a cutoff perspective, or are you looking from a, DST, that is Department of Science and Technology has given a very specific framework for understanding vulnerability, in climate change, or understanding the climate resilience and the climate variability. So what is it that, but at the local governance, how can we understand it? Something that, that is something, because the core of the course is trying to look at from the local governance perspective, and you also have to contextually specific so that your text speaks to the context.
Yes. I'll make it more concrete.
Thank you so much. Moving on forward to Janani Ranganathan ji. Could you please unmute yourself and provide us with a video?
Hello everyone, I'm Janani here. So I am an architect and urban designer and an academician. Recently I was working in SM Vijayanand. So my interest peaked here because I was thinking about doing my PhD in urban policy and local governance, urban governance. So this fellowship might give me a clearer picture of how to move ahead and what I want to do. So that is the reason I enrolled to this. So the topic, I have a very vague topic. So I want to do something related to public space, as in the urban governance. So how urban governance and public participation will actually facilitate into a better and inclusive, urban design, urban planning aspect to it. So I'm not very sure. I still have to work on this, but this is a larger topic. So maybe I still have
space,
to
you said, no, Janani? Space. Yes. You said space, no? Public space, right? Yeah. So this is again a very interesting one, like where the space has been understood as a public space, private space, and now the common space. So the whole question of commoning and the commons are becoming very interesting areas in planning. And how can you have, the public-private spaces, and especially when big builders and from the supply side are giving this as a very interesting USP of that, in how the curtailing at the cost of the certain group of, especially the marginalized group, and what is this public space, private space, and the common space is something that, that we can really have. But we need to have a more detailed understanding, detailed discussion that we can have. Yeah, but the broad area is good.
Thank you so much. Moving on forward with Vipin Paliwalji. Could you please unmute yourself and provide us with a video? I would like to move on forward with Bhagyashri Bardhanji. If you could please unmute yourself and provide us with a video. Ma'am, you're not audible.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, sure, perfectly fine.
Hello, my name is Bhagyeshri Bardhan and I have done my bachelor's in geography and post-graduation in geography. And during my post-graduation, I was interested in studying urban fringe areas. So when I got the opportunity to participate in this fellowship, I thought, why not go into depth? And so I thought to study about the disparity in fringe areas and how can local governance help to reduce disparity in these areas. So that will be my topic. Thank you.
Yeah, Bhagyashree again coming out with a very interesting broad area. But then, like that fringe is again a very heterogeneous term, What is fringe, Because, and then the whole question, the politics of the marginals who are inhabiting that fringe areas. So when you being a geographer, are you looking at, like geography from a sustainable geographic perspective where you're speaking with the habitat and habitants? So there is a habitat and there is a habitats and there is also habitus, so bringing that Bourdieuian understanding of habitat, habitants, and habitus. The socio-cultural practices is the people have to do in that fringe area and what makes them the politics of the marginals. So we can have, like something more to discuss about it, to go narrow down. But as a broad one, it is very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moving on forward with the last participant, Isha Kunduriji. If you could please unmute yourself and provide us with the video.
Hi, I'm not a participant. I'm
Yeah,
one of
she's
the. Yeah, no, it's totally okay.
Hi,
No, but it's totally
Hi,
fine.
Isha.
Hi, Manjula. Good to see you.
Yeah.
I was just
She's a
here
resource
because
person.
I wanted to get acquainted with all the fellows
yes.
so that I have a
Okay.
better understanding of the
Okay, Isha.
batch.
Nice to catch up with you.
Yeah, nice, Manjula. Hi.
I apologize, ma'am.
It's
that's
totally
all right.
okay. It's
It's all right.
totally
It's already
okay.
okay. It's okay.
Moving on forward, I guess we are done with the introduction for the participants.
Yeah, Vaishali, can I request one thing to you from you that those participants who have not able to come today and discuss about their topics, because if you can finally give us, something more concrete about, please ask them about, write them to you, and then send the entire details list of these people, at least the broad area, so that we can have a conversation with them. And if you can make a WhatsApp group with this group, then we can have a one-to-one conversation with this group and help them to facilitate in narrowing down their topics through that group.
Definitely, ma'am. We'll start.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I thank all the participants for coming and introducing themselves. As we come to the end of day one of UPLGYF, Urban Policy and Local Governance Youth Fellowship, an online national autumn and winter school program, a 4-month online immersive introductory leadership certificate training fellowship program, I would like to request Manjula ma'am to give us the closing remarks for the session today.
Yeah, thank you, Avi. So I feel that we have started with a bright, interesting talk by Professor Thomas Isaac, who try, to say about what is the importance of a democratic decentralization. Why should we speak about local governance? What is the importance of theoretically, empirically, methodologically, why should we discuss about local governance, and what is the importance of local governance in the urban spaces, especially we have a 74th Amendment, and how important to position ourselves in these spaces. So he was looking at from a different international experiences and also from Indian experiences. And so that is a good start. And I'm also very happy, very happy, extremely happy to know about the diverse background from which the students are coming in. And also very happy that very students who are into and very interested to know more into it. That makes this group very interesting. So I hope that we'll be able to do complete justice to your interest and completely engage with your interest, and hope that till the end of this fellowship program, we will be able to keep that interest, sustain this interest as it is, and go to a very interesting journey together with the IMPRI team, myself and you, moving together to have a very interesting and enjoyable journey of this fellowship program. Thank you so much, Avi and Vaishali, from your side. And thank you all the participants. Looking forward for a very interacting, interesting sessions.
Thank you so much, ma'am. There's a query in the chat box.
Parvati ji, we'll share it. You'll find it over email with a video link. We'll attach the guidelines document there itself.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ma'am,
Thank
moving
you,
on forward with the vote of thanks. I just take next 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
As we come to the end of the day one of UPLGYF, Urban Policy and Local Governance Youth Fellowship, an online national autumn and winter school program, a 4-month online immersive introductory leadership certificate training fellowship program. I, Avi Sharma, researcher at IMPRI Impact Policy Research Institute, would like to propose the formal vote of thanks on behalf of IMPRI New Delhi. We are grateful to our chair and expert for day one, Professor Manjula Bharathy ji, and Thomas Isaac G, for taking out their valuable time and allowing us to learn from this online certificate program. We thank all of our participants who have raised pertinent questions and actively participated in today's deliberation. We look forward to welcoming you all on October 10 at 6 p.m. for our day 2 of the certification course by distinguished expert Mr. SM Vijayanand, followed by discussion on essays and research article writing. Participants, buckle up for an incredible journey over the next 4 months. Your dedication, curiosity, and passion for positive change will shape the impact of this fellowship. We look forward to witnessing the remarkable work that will emerge from your efforts. Best of luck, and let's make these months unforgettable. We are grateful if you're watching us later on YouTube or listening to us on various podcasts or reading our publications. We hope you continue to join us in the future to IMPRI, Web Policy Talk, and Web Policy Learning. Wishing you a good day and a good evening. Thank you so much.